Evening, everybody. Sorry it's been a while. Been a little busy. Just been hanging out with my fam. Enjoying the weekend, the winter's weather here in Australia. I should have been putting a few of these together for the students. Have been asking me to do a few more of these. Today's an interesting one. Youth and age. I've done this one. The one I did before was about childhood, and this one is going to be about middle age. Unfortunately, that's me, middle age, 40 this year. I know I don't look it, but yeah, it's something that obviously everyone goes through. But I'll just read this, and we'll go through a few of these expressions, and we'll see what you think about it. Okay, middle age. Amy and Stuart got married young. They had a baby and then another almost at once and quickly fell into the pattern of family life. They concentrated so much on providing a stable environment for their children that they neglected their friendship and soon began to take each other for granted. The children left home and went off to university, and Stuart began to go through a midlife crisis. He said he was bored with his daily routine and he wanted to go off and travel the world while he was still young enough. Amy thought he was just going through a phase. But she felt she had no choice but to respect his wishes. She said nothing to stop him as he bought a red sports car and set off on a road trip through Europe. Interesting. Let's go through a few of these phrases here. To fall into a pattern, just to start doing the same thing over and over again. A stable environment, something that people feel comfortable with, like a steady income. You have a job, 9-to-5 job, you know that you're going to get paid every week, very stable, there's no risk involved. To take something for granted is to not appreciate something. One example for me, living in Australia, you really take fresh air for granted. It's like when you go to other countries that are polluted, you start to think, geez, we've got it good in Australia. But when you're actually in Australia, before you go anywhere, you don't really notice because that's how we grew up, with nice fresh air to breathe. So we take fresh air for granted. To go through a midlife crisis, around my age, 40 years old, usually men go out, buy a sports car, get a new girlfriend. They start to think that they've got no more time left. So they need to do things because their life has been boring for the last 20 years, especially for people who have children young. I wouldn't say it's boring, but, at that age, if you're at home with a family and all your other friends are around, traveling around and, carrying on, having a great time, you sort of feel like you're missing out. And once you turn 40, 45, you start to think, righto, then it's my turn to do this. Good times, yeah. Midlife crisis. I can't wait for mine. If I went through a midlife crisis, definitely wouldn't get a new girlfriend. It would be more about going to hang out with Nathan Hindmarsh at the Parramatta Leagues Club, watch heaps of rugby league, travel around the world watching cricket. Sounds pretty boring, right? But no, that's what I'd love to be doing, playing golf. Sports cars, not a big thing for me. But, people sort of think midlife crisis is like, oh, okay, I don't have much life left. I'm going to be old soon, so I might as well enjoy it, right? What else did they say in here? You go through a phase. Yeah, you go through a phase where something starts and then it gradually goes away. Go through a phase. I have been through many phases. I went through a phase of listening to rap music when I was in high school. I used to love rap music. I thought I was a rapper, and I still listen to it, but it's not a big part of my life anymore. It's an interesting one. I was listening to the radio today, and they brought up a topic about giving advice to a younger self. And I think that's when people go through midlife crisis, they start to regret things that they did or usually they didn't do when they were younger. As this guy says here, he wanted to travel around Europe and buy a red sports car. So you want to feel young again, right? On the radio, the woman was saying, if you met yourself when you were 11 years old. So, for example, you go to the front door at the age you are now, go to the front door and your 11-year-old self is at the door. And her question was, what advice would you give yourself at that age? For me personally, I think a lot of things would be around confidence, not caring too much about things, just having a crack, hitting up girls maybe a little bit more. I don't know, be a little bit more outgoing. But at the time, it was hard. I was a shy kid. And I've sort of heard that, people would like to give themselves advice on stress. Don't worry about things so much and just go with it and just, it is what it is. I was talking to a friend today about a shark attack that happened here in Australia. People get worried about shark attacks. They sort of think, well, that sort of fear that holds them back. I don't want to go surfing anymore because I might get eaten by a shark. I mean, I don't know. For my connection with that is that, my fear of worrying about what other people thought about me, or, that time of when you're young and you're not sure of exactly who you are and you sort of question a few things about yourself and you just don't have that self-confidence that you wish you had. So yeah, it's that sort of fear of making the wrong decision, or it's an interesting one. But midlife crisis, I am, like I said, waiting for mine to come along. I hope it doesn't, because it sounds a little bit more stressful than the normal life. But I mean, if you're in a job, you're doing it for 20 years, what are you supposed to do? Pretty boring, right? You just got to have a crack and do something else, especially if your kids moved out of home. So yeah, we're going to have a chat about this week, this topic here. So feel free to hit me up. Any questions? I'll be putting a few questions in the comment section down here. Subscribe, hang out with me, and we'll learn some English together. I've got a lot of other students you can talk to. We all have chats every week, so let me know if you want to join. But anyway, enjoy your Monday evening. Peace.